My name is Sarah. I am 23 years old. I live in a small town in America. My life was simple. I used to go to college every day. I had friends, but deep down, I always felt incomplete because I could not speak English fluently. Every time someone spoke in English around me, I used to feel nervous. I could not say even a single sentence properly. People laughed at me sometimes, and I started to believe that maybe I was not smart enough to learn this language. I remember one day in college we had a group presentation. Everyone was speaking in English, and when it was my turn, I stood in front of the class. One looked at my friends. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. I forgot everything. I just said sorry and sat down. That day I cried alone in the college garden. I felt embarrassed. I thought I would never try again. I felt like a loser. But when I came home, my mother hugged me. She said, "Sarah, failing does not mean you are a failure." She told me that falling down is not the end, as long as you get back up again. Those words touched my heart. I decided that I would not give up. I promised myself that no matter how many times I fail, I will stand up and try again. I will learn English. I will speak it. I will prove to myself that I can do this. From the next day, I made a simple plan. Every morning I would wake up and listen to English for 10 minutes. Then I would repeat the words and sentences I heard. I started small, very small. I learned how to introduce myself. I learned simple sentences like, "My name is Sarah. I am a student. I live in America." At first I felt shy, speaking even alone in my room. My tongue felt heavy. My words were slow. I made mistakes. But I kept going. I told myself mistakes mean I'm trying. I kept listening. I kept speaking. I kept shadowing English sentences every single day. One day while I was in the grocery store, I met a tourist. She asked me where the nearest hotel was. My heart started beating fast. I could feel fear, but I smiled and tried to answer. I said, "There is a hotel near the park. It is not far. You can walk there." She smiled and thanked me. I could not believe it. I spoke in English for the first time in real life. It was not perfect, but I did it. That moment gave me confidence. It was like a small spark of light in a dark room. I came home and wrote in my diary, "Today I spoke English. I can do this. I will continue." From that day, I increased my practice. I started listening to more English stories. I repeated everything slowly. I tried to speak in front of a mirror. I even recorded my voice and listened to it to improve pronunciation. The more I practiced, the more confident I became. I still made mistakes, but I smiled through them because I knew I was growing. One day my college teacher noticed the change. She said, "Sarah, you have improved a lot. I feel proud of you." Her words made me so happy. I felt like crying, but this time it was tears of joy. I learned that success does not come overnight. It comes with daily small efforts. It comes with falling. The next morning I woke up early and sat in front of my mirror. I looked at myself and said, "I can speak English. I will speak English." I repeated this sentence 10 times every day. It became my morning habit. I started watching English videos on YouTube. I chose videos that were slow and simple. I did not worry about understanding everything. I just kept listening and repeating. I also started writing small sentences in English every day. At first my sentences were very basic. I wrote things like, "I wake up at 7, I eat breakfast, I go to college." But I did it daily. My notebook started filling with these small sentences. I knew that small steps would lead me to big changes. One day in college, my teacher asked the class a question in English. Without thinking too much, I raised my hand. I answered the question in simple English. My classmates looked surprised. Some even smiled. My teacher said, "Well done, Sarah." I remember another moment that touched my heart. One evening, my little brother asked me to help him with his English homework. I explained some words to him in simple English. He looked at me and said, "Wow, sister, your English is good." I smiled and felt tears in my eyes. That small praise from my brother meant the world to me. I wrote in my diary again, "Today I helped someone in English. I am improving, I will not give up." Slowly I started listening to English songs and reading short English stories. I did not understand every word, but I kept going. I learned that even when you do not understand everything, your mind is still learning something new. I also learned to forgive myself for mistakes. Whenever I said something wrong, I would smile and correct it. I stopped feeling ashamed. I started feeling brave. One day, I got a chance to introduce myself in a college event. I stood in front of 50 people. My hands were shaking, but I took a deep breath and spoke slowly. I said, "Hello, my name is Sarah. I am from this town. I am learning English." I came home that night with a big smile. I felt I was becoming a new version of myself, a version who believed in herself. My confidence started to grow little by little. I started helping my friends in English. I gave them tips. I told them that mistakes are part of the process. I also started recording short videos of myself speaking in English. I would watch those videos and correct my mistakes. I could see my own progress. My pronunciation was improving. My vocabulary was increasing. I was slowly becoming more fluent. Every day was still a challenge. Sometimes I felt tired. Sometimes I felt slow. But I remembered my promise: I will not give up. I will continue. I will one day speak English fluently and help others who are on the same journey. I realized that learning English is not just about words. It is about believing in yourself. It is about courage. It is about standing up even when you fall down again and again. This was not the end. This was just another beautiful chapter of my story. I will share more soon. Keep listening. Keep practicing. Never give up. The days turned into weeks and the weeks turned into months. I continued my English learning journey with the same passion and determination. I remembered the girl who once stood silent in front of her class. I remembered the tears, the embarrassment, the self-doubt. But now I was different. I was growing stronger every day. Every morning I would start my day by listening to simple English sentences. I repeated them softly, then louder, then with confidence. I would stand in front of my mirror and tell myself positive words. I can do this. I will speak English fluently. I started setting small goals for myself every week. I chose one topic and learned 5 to 10 new words related to it. For example, one week one learned about food, another week I learned about traveling. I would use those words and small sentences throughout my day. I also made it a habit to watch short English stories every night before sleeping. I did not understand everything, but I listened carefully. I believed that my mind was absorbing the sounds, the rhythm, and the patterns of the language without me even realizing it. One of the biggest turning points came when my teacher asked Emmy to give a 2-minute speech in English in front of the class. I was nervous, but I accepted the challenge. I prepared my speech. I practiced it at home in front of the mirror. I even recorded myself multiple times. The day of the speech came. My heart was beating fast. My hands were shaking slightly. But I stood up, I smiled, and I began. "Hello everyone, my name is Sarah. Today I want to talk about my journey of learning English." I was very scared before. I made many mistakes, but I never gave up. I practiced every day, and today I am standing here speaking to you in English. Thank you. The entire class clapped for me. My teacher gave me a big smile. I felt proud. I felt powerful. I felt that nothing was impossible if I kept going. After that, I felt more motivated. I started participating in small group discussions. I answered questions. I even started helping my classmates who were struggling with English. I shared with them the simple techniques I used, like listening, repeating, shadowing, and writing short sentences every day. One day, one of my classmates said to me, "Sarah, you inspire me. You give me hope to keep." As time passed, my love for the English language grew deeper. I could feel that something magical was happening inside me. I was no longer scared of speaking. I was no longer the girl who stayed silent in the corner. I was becoming someone who believed in herself, someone who was determined to keep going no matter how hard the path was. Every morning I still followed my simple routine. I would listen to English stories, I would repeat sentences. I would shadow voices, I would write in my diary about my dreams and how I was slowly reaching them. One day our college announced an English debate competition. I felt nervous but excited. My heart whispered, "Sarah, you should try. You can do this." My mind was full of doubts, but my heart said yes. I spent the next 2 weeks preparing for the competition. I chose a simple topic. I wrote my speech. I practiced every single day. I stood in front of the mirror. I recorded my voice. I fixed my mistakes. I repeated and repeated until I felt ready. The day of the competition arrived. I stood on the stage. I looked at the audience. My hands were cold, but my heart was warm. I smiled and began. Good morning, everyone. Today I want to talk about the power of never giving up. Learning English was hard for me. I failed many times. I felt small. I felt scared, but I kept going. I believed that one day I would succeed, and today I am standing here speaking to you in English. Never give up. Keep trying. Thank you. The audience clapped. My teachers smiled. My friends cheered. I felt like I had won a battle. Not just the debate, but a battle inside my own heart. I was no longer afraid. I was shining. I was proud of myself. After the competition, my teacher came to me. She said, "Sarah, I have seen your journey. You are an inspiration to others." I smiled and felt tears in my eyes. Happy tears, strong tears. That night I wrote in my diary, "Today I stood on a stage. Today I spoke English with courage. I will never forget this day." I realized that learning English is not just about words. It is about believing in yourself. It is about standing tall when you feel weak. It is about taking small steps every day without giving up. I started making new goals. I decided to learn 5 new words daily. I practiced longer sentences. I started thinking in English. I described everything. I saw everything I felt in English. I watched English movies with subtitles. I copied the way the actors spoke. Slowly I noticed my pronunciation was improving. My sentences became longer. My confidence became stronger. I started helping my younger cousins to learn English too. I told them, do not be afraid, make mistakes. Learn from them. Keep going. One day my college organized an event where I was asked to host in English. I was shocked, but I said yes. I stood in front of a big crowd. I welcomed the guests. I spoke with a smile. I felt powerful. I felt alive. I understood that this was not magic. This was hard work. This was patience. This was believing in small progress every day. Time kept moving, and so did I. I was no longer the same shy girl who was once too scared to say even one English sentence. I was becoming someone new, someone braver, someone who believed that learning is a journey, not a destination. I still remember one cold winter morning. I sat near my window with a cup of tea. I looked outside at the snow-covered streets and I thought about how far I had come. I opened my diary and wrote, "Today I am grateful. Today I will keep going." Every morning I still followed my routine, but now I added new steps. I started reading simple English news. I started using a dictionary to learn the meanings of new words. I even began thinking in English when I was alone. It was not easy, but every small effort counted. One special moment came when I received an email from an international student exchange program. They invited students who could speak basic English to join a cultural event in another city. I was shocked. I felt nervous, but I remembered my promise to myself. I clicked yes. I prepared for weeks. I practiced my introduction. I practiced how to ask and answer basic questions. I recorded my voice daily. I listened to English stories before sleeping. I told myself again and again. I can do this, I will do this. The day of the event came. I traveled to a new city. I met students from different places. Everyone was speaking in English. I felt my heart beating fast, but I took deep breaths and started speaking. Hello, I'm Sarah. I am from a small town. I am learning English. I am happy to meet you. The other students smiled. They talked to me. They listened patiently. Even when I made mistakes, they encouraged me. That day I made new friends. That day I proved to myself that language is not just about words. It is about connection. It is about courage. I returned home with so much happiness in my heart. I felt more confident. I felt proud. I knew I was still learning, but I also knew I had come so far. I continued my practice. I started reading small English books. I learned new phrases. I started writing short stories in English. I described my day, my feelings, my dreams in simple sentences. One day my teacher asked me to help other students who were struggling with English. I felt honored. I shared my story with them. I told them how I started. I told them to never give up. I told them that mistakes are part of learning. I also discovered that listening was just as important as speaking. I listened to English podcasts. I watched English shows. I tried to catch the rhythm and the sounds. Slowly my sentences became smoother. My confidence became stronger. I was not perfect, but The days kept passing and I kept learning. Every morning I woke up with a new hope, a new goal. I knew that learning English was changing not just my words, but also my life. I still remember the time when I was asked to deliver a small speech in front of parents and teachers. It was a school event and I had to talk for just 3 minutes. I felt nervous, but I had learned how to handle my fear. I took deep breaths. I smiled at myself in the mirror, and I whispered, I can do this. I practiced the small speech again and again. I recorded myself. I corrected small mistakes. I imagined the audience. I practiced until I could speak without reading from paper. The day came. I stood on the stage. I smiled. I looked at the people and I began, hello everyone, my name is Sarah. I am here to tell you my story. I was once afraid to speak in English. I made many mistakes. But I never gave up. I practiced every day. I believed in myself, and now I can speak in front of you. Thank you. The hall clapped for me. I felt tears in my eyes, but this time they were tears of joy. I knew I had come so far. I knew that the journey was not over, but I had crossed one big milestone. After that, I continued to grow. I started speaking more with strangers. I joined an online English speaking group. I started watching English movies without subtitles. I even started dreaming in English sometimes. I learned one big lesson: learning a language is like growing a plant. You water it every day, you give it sunlight. You wait patiently, and one day it blooms. My English was blooming slowly, but beautifully. I promised myself that one day I would help others the way I once wished someone had helped me. I started writing my own small English stories. I started sharing them with my friends. I encouraged them to speak even if they made mistakes. And then one special day came. I was invited to give a small motivational talk to new students who were afraid to speak in English. Just like I was once afraid, I stood on the stage and shared my full story. I told them about my first failure, about my fears, about my small daily practices, about my dreams. I ended my talk with these words: never give up. No matter how many times you fall, no matter how slow your progress is, every single step counts. Every mistake teaches you something. Every word you speak makes you stronger. Today I speak English with confidence. I help others. I share my story because I believe that if I can do it, anyone can do it. This is the end of my story, but not the end of my learning. I will keep growing. I will keep learning. I will keep believing. And I want you to remember, you are not alone. Your journey matters. Your dreams matter. Never stop believing in yourself. Keep going. Keep shining. Keep speaking. Thank you for listening to my journey. Never give up.